Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Fantasy News Guys, where we're going to take a look at the Fantasy League Fantastico Fantasy Football League, the 2012 edition. My name is Bud, and I'm joined again by my dear friend Bud.
Hi, Bud.
How you doing, Bud?
Good to see you. Glad to be back this season.
Oh, it's been quite a season. So far, it's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of great matchups, but a lot of parity.
Yeah, I mean, heading into week 4, we like to do on this show is get the league warmed up, give them a few weeks to see what these teams are all about, form an identity, and then we start our show here on week 4. Yeah, a lot of parity, a lot of 2-2 teams, and we'll get into that.
We certainly will. We certainly will. Let me just jump right into, as it stands now, as we're filming right this very minute, the A's have just won a game to get to, the playoffs, Major League Baseball. Unbelievable.
Hell of a story. You'd think a team like the Morning Wood would be inspired by the A's performance, starting out of the gates 0-4 after winning, I think, 4 games last year.
And some teams need a little inspiration. Some teams have started off inspired. Can they keep the inspiration going to take them to the dance, and maybe even the championship game? As we stand right now, the rankings are this. So this is not counting the games that just passed this weekend. So the rankings are going to change really quickly. But for the sake of the show, we go with the Peaceful Warriors, followed by Romney Horse. At number 3, Lunches for Wimps. At number 4, Mason Key Colby. At number 5, Redonkulous. Number 6, the Mofos. Number 7, the Rollers. Number 8, the Fire Spitting Jimmies. Number 9, Sasquatch. Number 10, Dr. Dick. Number 11, the Goods.
Yeah, I mean, just hearing that list, you can see a shift in power. I mean, has the Central arrived this year in the East having a down year? You've got 3 of the Eastern teams in the lower half of the Yahoo rankings.
In the history of this league, how many Central teams have won the championship?
None. So far,
interesting.
In this young league's existence, now in their 5th year of operation, 2 from the East, 2 from the West. The Central really hasn't shown up in the playoffs at all.
So in the history of this league, all the teams in the Central Division would be considered horrible by fantasy football standards.
Well, yeah, I don't think a Central team has made it to even a championship game.
Even to the game.
So, and there's been obviously turnover when one of the family members was fired a couple years ago. Lunches for Wimps comes aboard. Doesn't perform well last year, but maybe playing an inspired role this year.
Indeed,
a la
indeed.
Athletics.
Well, we're going to find out about that right now, because right now we're going to just dive right into last week's games, which just ended with the Cowboys getting trounced by the Bears. Whoever had the Bears defense did awfully well. But starting off, we have Romney Horse taking on Morning Wood. Romney Horse at 2-1. They beat Morning Wood. It was a horrible showing by both teams, but Romney Horse pulls it out.
Well, the Morning Wood, again, making critical mistakes, starting a kicker that's injured. I don't know how that happens. Obviously, it's just negligence. Didn't quite cost him the victory, but some of the teams, or the players he's putting on the field, a la the Bills defense for 4 weeks in a row, not cutting the mustard.
Really, he's not watering the garden. Next game up, the Peaceful Warriors took on the Rollers and handled them 149-119. Peaceful Warriors, once again, hovering around 150 all year long.
Yeah, I mean, 4 games in, Peaceful Warriors 149, 150, 147, 149. I mean, obviously they've set a target and they think that's what they need to win.
Wow. Game number 3, Mason Key Colby. Getting it handed to him by Sasquatch. Sasquatch 151, Mason Key Colby 108. Mason Key Colby.
Yeah, I mean, Mason Key Colby, always a real good player in the regular season. He puts some victories up, always scores a lot of points. This year, however, got a lot of big names on his roster. Julio Jones was the big upstart.
Yeah, Matt Ryan, I believe, is
Adrian Peterson's been a nice surprise, but you know, sometimes star power just isn't enough.
Really?
You need to have the right horses at the right time.
No doubt, no doubt. Game number 4, we saw Dr. Dick 129, the Fire Spitting Jimmies 88. Obviously, the Fire Spitting Jimmies must be thinking they need to go back to the drawing board on
Well,
this one.
you know, we'll get into the power rankings here shortly, but I think a couple of those two teams might find themselves on the bad half of those rankings because that is a smelly matchup.
Wow.
Didn't look pretty, and again, the Fire Spitting Jimmies are in a downward spiral.
They certainly are, you know. And, you know, he couldn't happen to a nicer person.
He does have a bit of a reputation in the league, we've
He
heard,
certainly does.
for being a little bit snarky.
We love snarky. Game number 5, we had the Goods besting Redonkulous, 154 to 139, and high scores for the Goods and high score for Redonkulous. But once again, Redonkulous starting off the season snake bit again.
I don't think so. I think this year Redonkulous has tightened it up a little bit. I think they're getting a lot of production out of a quarterback position, looking to maybe make a change there, maybe some trade offers coming down the pipeline. I like the direction the Redonkulous team's going, but the Goods, again, 1 week they're Goods, and 1 week they're the Bads.
They seem to specialize in being the Bads in most weeks, but good for them. And then, hey, our game of the week, the Mofos got beaten by the Lunches for Wimps. 153 Lunches for Wimps scored 172. Mofos 153. Lunches for Wimps just said, "Hi, I want to play in this league and I want to win."
Just an incredible matchup. You know, both teams breaking over the 150 barrier, which the Peaceful Warriors seem to win every week doing itself. They would have found themselves on the losing end in this one. Two teams. Into those power rankings, again, we'll start with the bottom 5, going the 5th worst team to the worst team, and then back to the best.
And just for full disclosure, Mr. Levette or Bud is gonna handle them rankings, and I'm gonna chime in where we see fit. But there will not be 2 power rankings this year around.
Right, right.
Not that it was necessary in the first. Yeah.
All right. So when we've got the bottom 5 here, I start here. My 5th worst team in the league is Dr. Dick. You know, when your receiver core is Lance Moore, Greg Jennings, who's been hurt most of this opening season, and then Hawkins for Cincinnati, which was a nice pickup. He's hurting there. His running backs are inconsistent. Not a good team right now.
No, I tend to agree with you. When you're being held up in the running back corner by DeMarco Murray as your number 1, then that would seem solid enough. But is Dallas's offense really going to pick it up where he can be a top-tier running back? I don't think so. And then you follow that up with Ced Ben and Sean Green. There's just not enough Zam power where you're going to get a 25-point outing from these guys.
I mean, at some point, Sean Green just has to be unowned. I mean, it's just roster space, just being filled up with mediocrity.
No doubt.
It's really sad. So number 4 in the power rankings, we're going to go with the Mofos. You know, the usual, he basically drafted the same team he drafted last year. And what did he do last year? He finished in 5th place, lost to the Peaceful Warriors in the first round of the playoffs. He's doing the same thing where his opponents aren't scoring a lot of points and he's been able to win a couple of games. But Michael Vick is just atrocious. Chris Johnson is just a travesty. Even when he goes off this week for 140 points, or 140 yards, you get 14 points.
I agree.
No touchdowns. He's not catching the ball. This team's starting Alshon Jeffrey every week.
Yeah, no, that's not what you want. He should have been a bench player who you kind of plug in. God. He's got Michael Turner, who has been a bright spot, putting up good numbers for the first few weeks.